callers with the same name. So hi, Michael. Thank you for calling. What would you like to talk about tonight? Let me see here. Why faith is important. Thank you for calling. Why is faith important?
I'll just go back to when I got sober. I've shared, I've been sober for 22 years, free from drugs and alcohol. Mm-hmm. And part of my recovery program, it says that we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves can restore us to sanity. Because when you're out there doing drugs and alcohol, you're not a sane person. You're pretty insane. And come into that realization that there's somebody that's greater than me. And then, when you go a little further in the program, it says we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. And, that first part of the recovery program that I'm in, you get introduced to God. And one thing that I know that I never had, because I was atheist, and I had a really hard time with the whole God part of recovery, and that I needed God, and I needed to say that he was greater than me.
Do you think that God was required for your recovery, or you think maybe you could have done it by yourself? Not to step on your faith.
By myself.
Okay.
Yeah, I tried to do it by myself, and every time I would fail.
And then you entered this program.
Greater than myself.
Did you ever seek community with other people attempting to recover from addiction before that 12-step program?
I tried it various ways. I tried church and church only. It didn't work. Mm-hmm. I tried cold turkey.
You said that God was the reason. So if church didn't work, why does the 12-step work?
Well, because the 12 steps make you do inventory. They make you search your inner, like what makes you drink, what makes you do what you do. And then you bring God into that. You bring the Holy Spirit into your heart, like, okay, expose this stuff to me. Why do I do what I do? And it does, for me, it took a spiritual awakening to become aware of myself.
So, right. But what I'm hearing is that when you go to church,
doesn't teach you that.
When you go to church and receive the Holy Spirit, that's not enough. You also need to do personal introspection. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So I did. Now I've talked to other people. All they need is church. I'm not.
Okay. Have you ever spoken to anybody who has been through a recovery program that did not involve God?
I have. And the difference between them and me is they're still miserable. Most of them are. There's a few.
How many? You said most of them.
I would say.
How many?
Probably. I would probably say I'm guessing I know about 25 to 30 people that took another route. And I would say 20 of them are miserable. 10 of them aren't.
So,
out of a population
without it,
25 to 30
of how many? Like we're just accounting for your personal experiences, and the point that I was going to make out of this is that, to my knowledge, there is no state or federal funding for secular recovery projects. So the only addiction recovery services, I should say. So the only ones that I'm aware of that receive that kind of funding are religious-based 12-step programs. One of the many oversteps of the U.S. government in the separation of religion and government. Or you could call it an overstep of religion, depending on which direction you're looking at it from. Anyway, my point being, I'm really glad that you recovered. Personally, from my knowledge of psychology and addiction, I think it has a lot more to do with the personal introspection. And I don't know what the God has to do with it. If it makes you feel better, I'm all for it. And if it helps you stay clean, I'm all for it. I'm glad you're living a healthy life now, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So,
yeah, that's not an easy thing to do. It's so if me and Martin, well, I assume Martin is with me on this, feel like you probably did it yourself, and you needed something to give you that driving force and finding what you did, gave you faith on that. But someone not living your experience, because and maybe you did find God because you were in that situation, but someone not in that experience, how would we find that? How would we make that connection with a higher power?
You know, everybody has either you have your own connection with God or you don't. And I know a lot of people on both sides of it. And all I can do is tell you that I've had one and I've experienced God. I went from not believing in God to becoming aware that there is a God and he's bigger than me. And that was in 1998. And I've, you know, when I talk to the people that have never had that experience, I've learned now it's like, you know, we're not all the same. And some of these people eventually will find God. Some of them won't. And it's up to me. What do I believe? And what works for me? Because I've talked to many people, God will never work for them. And I don't know if it, you know, where their soul will go. I don't judge them anymore for telling me that, because my brother's like that. I mean, I just say the word God to him and he just loses it, right? And I'm like, you know, and I just stopped thinking that because he doesn't believe in God, that there's some kind of harsher thing waiting for him. Because I love my brother and I love the people. I started to just love people and just remove myself from the judgment side of things, because it's not my part, it's not my place.
That's an excellent thing to let go of when you come out of religion. It's easy to.
Well, the religious side of things. That's what you have to really learn about, is what is religion for? Because I think that religion is needed to a certain point. We have to have some sort of like idea of God. We have to have some sort of like template, some like blueprint, and it's religion, right? Whatever one you turn to.
What benefit do we get from an idea of God?
Okay, it helps us to believe that there is a God, and then you have to go find God for yourself. You can't find God through a religion. You have to find him for yourself.
Sorry, quick question. What benefit do we get as a society from a belief in God?
Okay, so if people didn't believe in God, so there's two sides of this. You have the people that use God all the time to get what they want and to manipulate people. Then you have the side where people actually believe in God. So you have the human condition at work in whatever thing that will try to destroy God too, right?
Wait,
but what it
destroy God.
Hold on. I asked you, and I hear where you're kind of going with it. What I'm trying to get at is, what benefit, like what specific benefit would humanity get if everybody believed in God? Because we don't believe in God, like neither Brian nor Ethan nor myself. So what benefit are we missing out on?
Where did the moral law come from?
What's the moral law?
Did we make it up?
Are you talking about,
like, let's just start with the 10 Commandments. Let's just say the 10 Commandments. We'll just go there because people know.
Where did the 10 Commandments come from?
Yeah. Where did they come from? Did they come from God to Moses to the Jews?
Michael,
and then to us,
hey, Michael, do you need it to be written on a stone tablet to know not to steal?
Well, I don't know, because I've never known life without those commandments. I didn't know life before them.
Hey, that's a great answer.
Yeah.
I've never heard that answer before. Okay. So why don't you steal? Why don't you steal from people? You're walking down the street and you see somebody drop a $10 bill. Why don't you steal it and put it in your pocket? Is it because it says it on some rock 4,000 years ago or whatever it was?
Okay, so before I believed in God, I would steal the $10 bill.
No, but I'm asking you
why. Qualms about it.
Why is it not?
Why
acceptable?
don't you? Yeah, why don't you steal it? What's unacceptable about that? And notice how I'm I'm already assuming that you're not going to steal it, because you don't strike me as the kind of guy who'd, you strike me as the kind of guy who'd be like, hey, you dropped this 10, right? Is that you?
Yeah, that's me now. Definitely.
Yeah.
I would run.
Right. No, and that's me and Brian too. That's me when I was a Christian and me now. And I don't know if Brian's ever been a Christian. Have you?
No, I've never been a Christian.
Brian's never been a Christian. So we have all three here. We have atheist turned Christian who said that first he would have stolen it and then he wouldn't have. We have Christian turned atheist who would have never stolen it, and we have atheist who would have never stolen it. So it sounds like it doesn't have to do with growing up as an atheist necessarily. Maybe it has to do with what you're taught about stealing when you're growing up. And I agree with you that telling kids that God will punish them if they steal is a way to get them to not steal.
Is it the best way, though?
But it's not a good way. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't like using God to punish. I don't think God is our cosmic punisher either. We can't use God for that.
Okay,
He's
well,
not.
I have 5 other people who do think that. How do I know which one of you is right?
Well, it's because do I want God to be my cosmic punisher? No.
Well,
Why would I want him to be anybody else's?
Okay, that's fair, but does what you want influence what God is?
God becomes your cosmic punisher when he decides to become it. It's not my job to make him that for anybody. Okay.
So what you're saying is
and
you don't will.
I don't like about.
Yeah, no. I got you. So what you're saying is you don't will that to be. Like if you had it your way, it wouldn't be that way. Is that what you're saying?
It's not about me either.
Okay.
It's about
but if you were in those shoes to have to do that, to make those decisions about people, would you change the way so that everybody could have a happy afterlife? Would you will that?
I don't know. If I could will that, of course I would will that everybody.
Well, you're more moral than your God then.
Yeah, you sound like a better guy than God. I'm not gonna lie, dude.
Like, I would the same way. There would be no eternal punishment if I was a deity. And people wouldn't have the drive to do bad things. So yeah, I would create a world like that because I think it's a more moral world.
Yeah.
Yeah, you agree with me there?
And but for whatever reason, yeah, it's not that way, and so we're left with this like question mark. Like, really? This is what I have to go and tell people, that they're going to burn in hell for eternity? Like, no. I want to say, maybe you should not steal.
Yeah, I mean, teaching good.
Leave heaven out of it.
Because part of our morality, in my opinion, and I have science to back this up on some of these things, part of our morality isn't innate. It's the way our synapses fire when we're exposed to different situations, no matter across the board. It's just there's things that are innate to us as a species that cause emotional reactions that we can interpret as a moral response of what the right and wrong thing to do in a situation is. And then some of it is conditioned. You can be conditioned to see a situation or be put in a situation and have your brain follow those same synapses firing that this is wrong based solely on the way that you were brought up. Like if you were brought up to hate homosexuals and you saw 2 men kissing, that would trigger those same synapses in your brain that you had when for something innate that you were off put by, but this is the results of conditioning. So how would we differentiate these 2 different ways that our morals are structured from the morals that are put down by God?
Okay, so here's something else to think about. This is what the church has never been able to help me understand in its presentation of God. It presents God as if God doesn't understand the human condition. But God does. He understands that people are weaker than him and that we have a thing called sin. If you go by what the definition of sin is, he understands that.
I kind of reject
his burden on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I cut you off.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But we put this huge burden. We, as Christians or whatever Muslim, whatever religion you believe in, you burden each other with this. You're a sinner, and God hates sin. Okay, God might hate sin, but God understands that we're sinners too. That there's nothing else within us, we even think that we're greater than him and he doesn't exist. He knows that. That's part of our condition. And we're just so religious and so self-righteous in our belief that we lose sight of that we're all in the same boat here. We're people and we're flawed. And, you know, we're going to go through life however we choose, especially for Americans. And, you know, it's how do you live your life?
We're Americans, but especially for all humanity, I say.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, remember, American problems are in the American news most often.
There's all kinds of stuff going on.
Yeah, there's all sorts of crap going on around the world. I wouldn't qualify it either which way, saying one is worse than the other. Just everybody's got crap to deal with, especially coming out of COVID. But anyway, I don't want to nitpick that too much. But yeah, my ears perked up at that too, Brian. I saw you react a little bit. I was like,
we are Americans and we are legislating and voting for our own stuff. But let's not forget that that there's we're all children of the world. So let's think about each other too. Anyway, I certainly don't want to cut you off too short there, Mike. We do have a few calls backed up, so I'll let you get the last word in here. Okay.
So when I say Americans, I know that there's other countries like us, but man, we can come and go as we please. We do what we want to do. You have every kind of lifestyle when it comes to the gutter, to the uttermost, to the guttermost. We have it all in America. And what I've learned about our lifestyle is it's a choice. We all have the choice.
Well, we have it all until you get sick, but.
Right. And so people today want to dismiss that. They think that they're like the victim of life. And we're not. We wake up every day and choose who we're going to be and what we're going to do. I know I do. Good and bad. Sinful, not sinful. I wake up every day and make the choices I make. Nobody makes them for me. God doesn't make them for me. And I guess that's what's missing in our religious approach with each other is we make the choice to be whatever because we have the freedom to do it.
Right.
And I don't feel like it's anybody's job to take that away.
No, to take what away? Somebody's choice to be religious?
Somebody's choice to be religious or not be religious.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I definitely don't want to remove that choice from somebody. I just also want to remind our audience that an overwhelming number of people who are religious now were also raised religious, while our caller Michael is one of the exceptions to that rule. Generally what will indicate a religious future is a religious upbringing. And there's all sorts of baggage that comes along with that, depending on which religion. Like, I know some kids who grew up in the Protestant church with me who ended up being atheists, and it wasn't really a big deal. And then there's some folks who grew up like Jehovah's Witnesses, and their parents don't talk to them anymore because they're not Jehovah's Witnesses anymore.
That's
and
tragic.
So, yeah, absolutely tragic. So again, that's the thing is religion is such a mixed bag, and I don't hear anybody being consistent about what God is saying. I hear a lot of people claiming different things about what God is saying. I'm right there with you though on the message of love. So if we can end the call on that common accord, I would really enjoy that. So, be good to your neighbors and appreciate what you have. Is that a good place to end, Michael?
Yeah, sure.
All right, man. Right. Hey, thank you so much. Again, congratulations on your sobriety. In all seriousness, I don't want to bash AA because it does help some people. What I want to do is I want to make sure that you don't have to be religious to go through AA and get something out of it. I want to make sure that there's options there for secular folks as well.
For everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that being said, have a great evening, Michael. Thank you for calling.